They told us that memory fades with age, that forgetting names, misplacing keys, or feeling lost in a familiar place is just part of getting older. But what if the truth is darker than that? What if the real culprit isn't age, but sleep? New research is uncovering a shocking link between deep sleep and dementia, and it's turning everything we thought we knew upside down. Scientists now believe that the brain cleans itself during sleep, literally washes away harmful proteins. But when sleep is broken, shallow, or missing altogether, that waste builds up. Slowly, silently, until the damage is done. Could skipping just a few hours of sleep now mean losing decades of memory later? And if the cure for dementia has been hiding in our pillows all along, why has no one told us? Hit like, subscribe, and let's go. For most of human history, sleep was a mystery, something sacred, even poetic. We knew we needed it, without truly understanding why. But today, in a world that never stops, sleep has become a luxury, often the first thing we sacrifice when life gets busy. Shift work, blue light from our screens, stress, caffeine, the modern world chips away at our rest night after night. Yet science is now uncovering a quiet catastrophe unfolding inside our brains while we sleep or fail to. Dementia, a word once reserved for the very old, is now being whispered in doctors' offices far too early and far too often. In the past, we blamed genetics, age, maybe bad luck. But recent research is shining a harsh light on something we all experience every single night: the quality of our sleep. Our brains are not idle during deep sleep. They are working hard, flushing out waste, including toxic proteins like beta-amyloid and tau. These same proteins, when allowed to build up, form the plaques and tangles that define Alzheimer's disease. That process doesn't begin when memory starts to fail. It starts years, even decades earlier, in the silent hours of the night. And the terrifying truth? Once the damage becomes visible, it may already be too late. This isn't just science, it's a warning. Our habits, our schedules, our very culture around sleep may be accelerating one of the most feared diseases of our time. And the worst part? Most of us still have no idea. But what if we could change that? What if we could understand what's really happening behind closed eyes and stop it before it's too late? It started quietly, not with an explosion, not with a warning, but with a question. In the early 2000s, a small group of neuroscientists began noticing something strange in patients with Alzheimer's disease. When they looked at brain scans, they saw the same toxic protein, beta-amyloid, again and again. But what truly puzzled them was where it built up first. Not randomly, not everywhere, always in the same regions, and always in people who had struggled with sleep for years. That observation led to a deeper investigation, and in 2013, a groundbreaking discovery was made. At the University of Rochester, Dr. Maiken Nedergaard revealed something stunning. The brain has its own cleansing system, now known as the glymphatic system, and it turns on only during deep, restorative sleep. Through a complex network of fluid channels, the brain quite literally washes itself at night, flushing out toxins that, if left behind, begin to erode memory, judgment, and personality itself. This discovery sent shockwaves through the scientific world. For the first time, sleep was no longer just rest, it was maintenance. It was survival. And suddenly, everything changed. What if chronic sleep deprivation wasn't just tiring but deadly? What if our midnight emails, late-night news, and sleepless anxiety weren't harmless habits, but silent assassins? With that one discovery, the future darkened. Because it meant that millions of people, right now snoring in recliners, nodding off to television, waking up 5, 6, 7 times a night, might already be in danger. And they don't even know it yet. Here's where it gets truly unsettling. 1 in 3 adults in the United States does not get enough sleep, and for those over 60, that number climbs even higher. According to the CDC, nearly 50% of older adults report chronic sleep disturbances. But the real danger isn't in how tired people feel, it's in what's silently building up inside their brains. Studies using PET scans have shown that just one night of poor sleep leads to a measurable increase in beta-amyloid in the brain. Not over months, not over years, one night. And when sleep problems become chronic, when deep, slow-wave sleep is lost night after night, these toxic proteins begin to settle, layer by layer, disrupting communication between neurons. At first, you might forget a word, a name. You laugh it off. Just getting old, you say. But it doesn't stop. The hippocampus, the brain's memory center, begins to shrink. Synapses go dark. And eventually, the mind begins to unravel. Now imagine millions of people, night after night, unknowingly stepping closer to that edge. We're not talking about rare genetic mutations or exotic diseases. This is happening in suburban homes, assisted living centers, busy apartments, everywhere. Right now. It's invisible, it's quiet, and it's spreading. The science is no longer theoretical. The scans are real. The data is clear. And the most chilling part? There is no cure for Alzheimer's. But there is prevention, and it starts with sleep, or ends without it. Here's the part that no one saw coming. Scientists now believe that dementia may not be a disease that starts in old age, but one that begins in midlife, or even earlier, in our 40s, 30s, sometimes even 20s. Not with symptoms, but with changes. Microscopic, invisible, and triggered by something as simple as restless sleep. That means by the time memory begins to slip, the damage has already been building, silently, for decades. The science behind this is both elegant and terrifying. During deep sleep, specifically slow-wave sleep, brain cells actually shrink slightly, creating more space between them. That space allows cerebrospinal fluid to rush through, sweeping away metabolic waste, including amyloid beta. But without that deep sleep, the fluid can't move freely. The waste stays behind, night after night, week after week, like plaque on teeth, only this time, it's on your brain. And here's where things get controversial. Some researchers now believe that improving sleep could delay or even prevent Alzheimer's entirely, but others argue that once amyloid buildup begins, the process becomes self-sustaining. That sleep disruption is both a cause and a consequence. A vicious cycle. And once you're in it, it's nearly impossible to escape. So the question becomes chillingly simple. How many of us are already trapped in that cycle and don't even know it? Could it be that dementia isn't just a fate waiting at the end of life, but a process unfolding, slowly, quietly, while we sleep? Today, we are standing on the edge of a medical revolution, and sleep is at the very center of it. Neuroscientists around the world are racing to understand the link between sleep and cognitive decline. At MIT, researchers are developing wearable devices that track not just how long you sleep, but what kind of sleep you're getting. They're looking for those deep, slow brain waves, the signature of restorative sleep, and warning users when they're missing them. In hospitals, new imaging technologies allow doctors to see amyloid plaques forming years before any symptoms appear. PET scans, MRI scans, and fluid biomarkers in the spinal cord are giving us windows into the brain we've never had before. But perhaps the most promising research is focused on early intervention. Clinical trials are testing sleep-based therapies, auditory stimulation that gently nudges the brain into deeper sleep, light-based treatments that restore circadian rhythm, and even medications that boost the glymphatic system's performance during the night. It's incredible science. But even as technology advances, one truth remains painfully simple: we cannot replace natural sleep. It is not a luxury. It is not optional. No drug, no device, no supplement can fully mimic what the brain does during those precious hours of rest. And that makes what we do tonight, and every night, more important than we've ever imagined. Because for all the innovation in the lab, the real battle against dementia may still begin in the quiet, dark corners of our bedrooms. But what if we've only scratched the surface? For all we know about sleep and dementia, there's still so much we don't, and some scientists are beginning to ask uncomfortable questions. One theory gaining traction is that the modern world itself is reshaping the human brain, not just disrupting sleep, but rewiring who we are. Our exposure to artificial light, especially blue light from screens, isn't just delaying melatonin, it's confusing our entire biological clock. Some researchers believe we are chronically jet-lagged, not from travel, but from technology. Others are going even further. Could our dependence on devices, stimulation, and information overload be making deep sleep biologically harder to achieve? And if so, are we accidentally designing a world where dementia becomes the default outcome of aging? There's also a growing debate in neuroscience. Some argue that the brain's cleanup system becomes clogged not just by sleep loss, but by inflammation, toxins in our environment, even stress hormones. That means the enemy may not be sleep alone, but everything that disrupts it, the darker side of progress, the unintended cost of light, speed, and convenience. And here's the cruelest irony. We now have the tools to monitor sleep, to study it, even manipulate it. But in doing so, have we pushed ourselves farther from nature than we can recover? For every advance, there is a shadow. For every breakthrough, a consequence. And the most painful question of all, did we trade clarity, memory, and peace of mind for modern life itself? The truth is, we're already living in the aftermath. This isn't some distant warning, it's now. Across the world, dementia is becoming one of the leading causes of death. In the United States alone, over 6 million people are currently living with Alzheimer's. Globally, that number is expected to triple by 2050. But what's more frightening is what's happening beneath the surface. Doctors are reporting earlier diagnoses. Families are seeing loved ones change in their 50s, even 40s. The cost? Staggering. Not just financially, in grief, in confusion, in broken identities. We are watching memories vanish, personalities fade, while science races to catch up. And the world is beginning to respond. Sleep clinics are overwhelmed. Research funding is shifting. Tech companies are pushing sleep tracking devices, promising insight, even salvation. But none of it feels fast enough. Because now we know the enemy isn't just disease, it's design. A world we built to stay awake, stay connected, stay productive, is eating away at the very thing that makes us human. The price of progress? A slow erosion of memory, selfhood, even time. And in this new landscape, the divide is growing. Those who can afford restful lives, silence, darkness, balance, may preserve their minds. But the rest? The overworked, the sleepless, the forgotten? They face a future not just of disease, but of disappearance. And no cure will matter if we don't protect the most basic thing our brains need to survive, the right to rest. In the end, this isn't just about neurons, proteins, or sleep cycles. It's about what kind of future we're choosing. Humanity stands at a quiet crossroads. On one path, we continue down the road we've paved, faster, brighter, louder. We sacrifice sleep for productivity, push through exhaustion, and medicate the symptoms. We normalize forgetting until we forget who we were. But on the other path, we pause. We listen. We change. We recognize that evolution didn't design our brains for constant light or endless input. It built them to rest, to heal, to dream. The science is clear. Sleep isn't a weakness. It's our oldest survival tool. And ignoring it doesn't just cost us health. It risks our identity, our relationships, and the very fabric of what makes us conscious, living beings. So the question becomes deeply personal. What are we willing to give up to keep moving forward? And will we notice the loss before it's too late? We can invest in smarter cities, quieter nights, healthcare that prioritizes sleep. We can shift culture. We can teach the next generation that rest isn't lazy, it's sacred. Or we can keep running, keep glowing, keep forgetting. This isn't just a medical crisis. It's a test of values, a chance to evolve not through machines, but through wisdom. The kind of wisdom that whispers when the world goes dark and the mind, finally, goes quiet. They told us forgetting was just part of life. But now, you know better. Now you know that what happens while you sleep, or what doesn't, might be rewriting your brain in silence. You know that every restless night, every tossed and turned hour, might not be harmless. It might be the beginning of something irreversible. And the hardest part? You can't feel it happening. There's no alarm bell, no scar, just time quietly stolen, memory blurred, faces fading. That's what makes this so dangerous. It doesn't knock on the door. It lives in the quiet, in the habits we overlook, in the patterns we've normalized. But here's the most important truth of all. It's not too late. Not if we take it seriously. Not if we start tonight. Close the laptop. Turn off the screen. Let your body rest. Let your brain clean. Let your future breathe. Because the cure for one of the most terrifying diseases of our time might already be inside you, waiting for the lights to go out. And now, let me ask you something uncomfortable. How many nights have you traded your sleep for something that didn't matter the next day? And what if, just one of those nights, cost you something you can never get back? Leave a comment below and be honest. We're listening. Your story might help someone else open their eyes before they close them again.